Whether you're a big manga fan or not, if I say Dragon Ball, Naruto, or Sailor Moon, you probably know what I'm talking about. But what about this? Dreamland, Radiant. You've probably never heard of them, they're still mangas, but they're European. In France, the largest manga market in Europe, 1 out of 2 comics books purchased is a manga. Most of them come from Japan, but for quite a few years now we've seen more European artists coming in. They're French, Belgian, Italian, and they're revolutionizing the genre in their own way. But can we talk about a truly European manga? First, let's go back to some basics. What makes a manga a manga? Unlike comics, a manga is read from right to left. It is generally black and white, cut up in boxes in a very dynamic way. The characters have large, hyper-expressive eyes, and the actions are often accompanied by onomatopoeia. NANI? But all that's in Japan. You will see that European manga illustrators often take some liberties with these traditional codes. We're at the Paris Expo for the manga SciFi Show. Here, every year, thousands of people come to celebrate Japanese pop culture. But it's also an occasion for European illustrators to meet their fans here. Let's go for a tour.
Graphiquement, on m'identifiait manga, mais j'avais pas forcément envie de faire de la BD à proprement parler, à 300 pages. J'aimais bien le format comics, le A5, comme ça, un peu plus grand, avec quelques pages, une quarantaine de pages, un sujet, un début, une fin, pas forcément de faire une longue série. On a l'avantage, en fait, en tant qu'Européens, d'aller piocher un peu partout pour pouvoir créer son style. C'est de la mixité, c'est-à-dire qu'on va s'inspirer, s'imprégner pour ensuite en faire germer quelque chose de personnel. Alors forcément, on va y retrouver des codes manga un peu japonisants et puis parce qu'on a des origines européennes, on va forcément avoir d'autres références liées à la BD franco-belge ou du comics. Je trouve ça intéressant en fait de pouvoir intégrer quelques codes pour ensuite créer son style, quoi. Peut-être que oui, il y a un style européen, mais il va être propre à l'individu.
Sinat belongs to a genre that's called Shojo, that's mostly intended for a female audience, and is the most important category of mangas in Europe. But how did manga come to Europe? It was basically through cartoons. The Sailor Moon franchise and Dragon Ball are just examples of how widely distributed mangas were in Europe in the 90s. It was around this time that the first European manga artists emerged, and already then they had different approaches and different styles. Some were attached to the traditional style and were published by companies geared towards the Japanese manga market. Others take up the traditional codes but bring their own style. The reading direction is reversed, the narrative model is changed, and the books are shorter. That's what Sinat does. And in some cases it goes even further. Some comic book illustrators draw their inspiration from manga. That is the case of Irish illustrator Shojo.
I think I like manga culture so much because they are very based on serials. The difference I found with like comics in the West and comics in Japan was that in Japan you could have a serial that goes on for years and you get really invested in the characters. Whereas a lot of stories that I grew up with from the West was very kind of like short stories. They were very like, you know, here's one whole story and then it's concluded and then there's the next one. You never really get to like, you know, follow these characters through their development. So manga kind of just like really introduced this kind of way of storytelling to me. And also I think it's because they're very atmospheric. They have scenes in the stories that aren't necessarily important to the plot, where they're having like a nice meal together, you know, or they're just like laying on the grass and looking at clouds passing by. You know, it's not even like, you wouldn't see that so much in Western kind of comic. Don't describe myself as a manga artist, but a comic artist, and the reason for that is because I feel like manga is it's very connected to a Japanese culture, and because I'm not Japanese and I'm not raised there, I don't have that connection to the place, I would feel like it would be kind of like appropriating a space that isn't mine.
Today, mangas are filling Europe's bookshelves. Italy is considered the largest European manga market, but sales data aren't really public yet. France, however, has sold over 28 million copies in 2021. In short, the demand is high and it's generating a lot of interest, to the point where we have our very own European Manga Academy. We're in Italy, where also thanks to cartoons, manga's consumption is very high, and it's in Volterra, Tuscany, that the first European Manga Academy opens its doors. And of course, we had to come see by ourselves.
Here we study like how a comic is born and how to write a story, how to start drawing, because on the first year we learn mostly how to draw. We start with basics of anatomy and how to balance your panel so that's pleasing to be read. It's amazing to compare how you drew before the academy and how you're drawing now, the skills you have now.
Dans un manga, c'est important d'avoir une bonne technique, mais aussi c'est très important de savoir raconter, de savoir ce qu'on peut raconter et comment le raconter. En anthropologie, on voit aussi quelles sont les différences au niveau culturel aussi avec le Japon. Le manga, c'est japonais, mais nous ne sommes pas japonais, alors il faut comprendre aussi un peu l'histoire du manga, comprendre comment ça se développe, quelles sont les différences dans la manière dont on le raconte.
Normalmente le scuole di fumetto lavorano con poche sessioni alla settimana e poi lasciano molta libertà creativa. L'Accademia nasce con una logica invece un pochino più formante. Abbiamo individuato, anche grazie alla struttura delle Accademie di Belle Arti italiane, un insieme di insegnamenti che sono secondo noi necessari per riuscire ad arrivare ai fondamenti pratici di questa disciplina che è il fumetto giapponese. Il 10% dei nostri diplomati viene valutato dai professionisti giapponesi all'altezza del mercato giapponese. Il problema è che i giapponesi non sanno che la legge sull'immigrazione giapponese questa cosa non la permette. Quindi è inutile tentare di formarsi per andare a lavorare là. In questo momento ha molto più senso formarsi per lavorare con una tecnica che avrà sempre più spazio, perché sta oltrepassando la nicchia e sta diventando, nei prossimi anni diventerà la forma principale di fumetto anche in Europa.
Diciamo, durante il percorso accademico mi ero resa conto del fatto che non volessi disegnare fumetti, ma che volessi lavorare nel campo del fumetto, e quindi ho cercato di studiare quali fossero tutte le altre possibilità che avevo con quello che era stato il mio percorso di studi e mi focalizzai sulla carriera di editor. Allora, in Europa il mercato per il manga è sicuramente in ascesa e certezze lavorative ci sono fino a un certo punto, nel senso che è un lavoro in generale che non ne dà. Anche in Giappone non si può avere la certezza di riuscire a sopravvivere semplicemente lavorando col manga. È un lavoro che finché non ottieni un successo veramente grande non dà delle entrate comunque che ti permettano di sostentarti solo con quello.
It's difficult to make a living out of mangas, as it is in many creative fields. Many young artists go to Japan where the market is very competitive but bright, and others manage to get careers in video game development or cartoons rather than paper manga. And what about you? Do you read manga, and what's your favorite thing about them? And if you like this video, give us a little like and subscribe, that way you won't miss our next episodes.